We're coming on the air right now with breaking news. We're following SEPTA officials. They are meeting with the media to discuss the service cuts that are due to take effect in just 2 more days, Sunday.
A lot of people have been waiting for this one. The transit agency says the 20% cuts are necessary because it has not yet gotten critical funding from Harrisburg to solve its budget deficit. Scott Sauer now taking the podium. Let's listen in.
Subways and trolleys by 20%. Regional rail cuts will follow on September 2nd. We never wanted to be in this situation. Taking away service is at odds with everything that we strive to do at SEPTA. Our hope is that the coming days will see progress in Harrisburg toward a long-term, sustainable funding solution for public transportation so that this disruption for our customers, our city and region will be as brief as possible. That said, our job now is to operate the best service possible with the resources that we have. This starts with reinforcing our efforts to ensure that our customers have access to safe and secure transit service. Safety and security is always our top priority, but it takes on extra meaning next week at the start of school. We're entrusted with transporting more than 50,000 students to middle and high schools across the city. It is a great responsibility, and we're honored to have them as our customers. The service reductions will impact students just as they will all of our riders. In building this plan for service cuts, we tried to take away as many pain points as we could. Many bus routes being eliminated have alternate services nearby, although more walking and transfers may be necessary. So this weekend, we encourage students and their families to review the service plan that we have on SEPTA.org to see how the cuts will impact them. Map out their travel to and from school. Through the week, we're going to have ambassadors stationed at transit hubs to assist customers with questions. And Chief Lawson is going to talk in a moment about our security plans. One thing we cannot stress enough, all riders should allow for extra time as they get used to the changes next week. Buses, trains, and trolleys are going to be crowded. There are likely to be some pass-ups more than normal due to vehicles at capacity. And with 20% less service, the system is going to move slower. We're going to closely monitor all travel next week. We'll look to see where we can make minor adjustments to improve the customer experience, although we expect conditions will continue to be challenging. With students back and other riders returning from summer vacations, we expect demand for service to increase. By late spring, ridership had grown to over 800,000 passenger trips a day and was consistently rising. We're going to do our best to accommodate as many of those riders as possible. We're going to continue our work with lawmakers in Harrisburg and Governor Shapiro to secure new funding for transit so that we can fully deliver the service that our customers deserve. Thank you, and I'll now introduce Transit Police Chief Chuck Lawson.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everyone. So, returning to the school year is usually a busy time for us, and we typically put together a pretty robust school safety plan. That's no different this year. That plan generally doesn't change dramatically from year to year. And we've done this for a number of years. We know where our hot spots are. We know the patterns that students take during their travel. And we know the typical areas where they congregate in larger quantities. This year's a little bit different. All right, we're going into this school year with a few more unknowns. And so I do have a few changes to our school safety plan that I want to highlight. Some of the things that we have implemented in years past that have worked really well for us are going to continue. So we're going to increase our staffing during student travel. We do that through a number of ways, right? Every single personnel that works in the department is out in the field during student travel on every shift. And on the particularly critical dismissal period in the afternoons, we overlap those shifts. So we are virtually doubling our available staffing when the bulk of our students are out traveling on the system. We assign video patrols to locations where we don't have active police presence, and we assign extra staffing at sort of the convergence points where we know student traffic is much higher. Those things will continue. This year, we are placing a higher focus on surface bus routes and surface trolley routes. Right? We don't completely know how the service cuts are going to impact us everywhere throughout the city. But we've done as much research into this as we can. We are entering the school year planning on increasing police presence along about a dozen routes throughout the city, spanning from northeast to southwest. We're going to have police officers who are on buses along those routes. We're going to have police officers who are patrolling by vehicle along those routes. And we are going to have virtual patrol specialists who are performing live look-ins into those buses along those routes. Coordination is always a key with us, coordinating with our partners. The new thing that we're going to add this year is we have established a daily morning check-in call with school police. Every single day starting the school year, and we'll run this as long as it's productive. We are going to conduct a check-in call with school police. We're going to discuss the previous day's school day and determine whether or not there's a need to flex any resources anywhere, change any part of our plan. And we think that's going to put us in a position to pivot very quickly if we need to do that. A few recommendations, if we can, for students and for the parents of students. And General Manager said it well, give yourself extra time, okay? Establish a plan. We have posted a lot of information on our website about how to travel and navigate in the new service plan. Establish a plan for your students traveling the system. Give yourself extra time and recognize we're going to have a lot of staff out in the field. Police officers, bus operators, ambassadors, you name it. There's going to be a lot of SEPTA folks in the field. Use us, right? If you need to figure out where you're going, you need information, there's no shortage of ways to get that information. Have a backup plan on an alternate route if you need to pivot quickly. Know multiple ways to get to your destination. And then I'll leave you with this. Once again, we establish a transit police app that students can report anything that makes them feel unsafe. We encourage our students to download that app. You can do that by searching where you get your apps for SEPTA Transit Watch. So happy to take questions, but for now, I'll turn it over to our Assistant General Manager of Operations, Frank Randis.
Yeah, I think we'll go right into
questions.
Okay. Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, thanks,
All right.
Scott, you said you're hopeful still that there could be a deal reached out. To be clear, if there is a deal reached today, tonight, or over the weekend, will these cuts still go forward?
So we had passed our deadline to do this in a way that would be easy for customers. If a deal were to happen over the next 48 hours, we will do everything in our power to try to put as much service back on the street as we can, but it will be very difficult for us to restore service in a manner that the customers would be used to. There's a lot of back-end systems that are in play to provide both information and safety of the operation that we would have to go in and manipulate to get it back onto a normal schedule. So while I won't rule out that the possibility exists to go back to some semblance of normalcy by Monday or Sunday, as the clock ticks forward, it gets more and more difficult to do that.
And on the negotiations, there had been a lot of talk, as you know, about this public transit trust fund. You testified about that at a committee hearing in Harrisburg. Republicans are still saying that this could be an option, at least temporarily. Have you taken an additional look at it, or has there been any additional conversation about whether that could be used in some way to bridge the gap?
Sure. The local Senate Republicans have issued us a couple letters on this, with some clarifying information, and staff has been combing through that information. I think the short answer to give one is that we have a $10 billion backlog of state of good repair that requires capital dollars. We have a 12-year program that is a $14 billion program that will require $6 billion of state money to execute. So while we are certainly open to all ways that we can get this over the finish line, we just have to be mindful that if you sacrifice one thing for another, there could be consequences. So we are going to comb through this over and over and over again. We'll work with everyone who wants to work with us on this. And I just really want to get this over the finish line. I want to provide service to our customers. I want to provide safe service to our customers, and I want to provide sustainable service to our customers, something that they can count on year after year after year.
Does it seem to be more of an option than maybe you thought at the beginning?
Well, I mean, all options, I suppose, are being considered, but at the end of the day, we are focused primarily on trying to execute the plan that we have in front of us. Like I said, I'll talk to everyone. I will continue to have these conversations. We've had these conversations for, at least for my tenure, for the last 9 months. I will continue to have these conversations, provide whatever information is helpful. I am grateful that the leadership, Governor Shapiro, the 4 caucus leaders, are still talking. Every day, as long as they keep talking, it's still optimistic. But I just offer the information that I've been saying all along. They ask us what the need is. We provide the need. We have a need for operating dollars in the moment, but we have a need for capital dollars also in the moment. So taking from one pot to give to the other is not a sustainable solution. It could be a quick fix, I suppose, but that's for them to decide. But we need to focus on the moment, and the moment right now is on service.
Scott, one of the first pinch points could be Sunday when the Phils play in the afternoon. You're eliminating Sports Express service. What are you looking at post-game on Sunday?
Yeah, so post-game on Sunday, we'll have our complement of Sunday service, which is 20% less than what we have, which I believe is about 5 trains, I think, on the whole line. Normally, we would have added 3 or 4 extra trains on top of our normal complement, but that won't happen. We've been in conversation with the Phillies, with the sports complex. They know what to expect. They are, as I understand it, communicating this with fans who are going to come down to the complex on Sunday. We, of course, are doing the same thing. I would just urge fans to consider the advice we gave to everyone: plan ahead and leave early.
Yeah, on the Sports Express, you mentioned Phillies in the home stretch here, Eagles home openers coming up. What's the difference fans are going to see who are used to taking the Broad Street line right there?
So the difference, of course, is fewer trains, and fewer trains means longer wait times. So assuming that we get the same volume of fans trying to use SEPTA back and forth to the games, depending on what time the games occur and what day of the week they occur, fans could see abnormally long wait times. We can normally clear, just to give some perspective on this, a normal Eagles home game, we might service, say, 14 to 17,000 fans. That's of the whole complex. We can actually move those fans out of the complex in about an hour. That's using about 12 or 14 trains after game time. That will be significantly less, and depending on the time of the game, like the opener is in the evening, when fans come out of the game on that Thursday evening, there will only be 3 trains on the line, and that's the best that we'll be able to provide.
Is this frustrating for you?
It's frustrating for me, yes, but I'm more frustrated for our customers. Because they are the true victims in this, in the sense that they have to now figure out their life around a new SEPTA, a SEPTA that none of us ever wanted. So I feel most for our customers. I am certainly frustrated personally, but I understand this is a process, and this is certainly not unprecedented, at least for the budget in Harrisburg. But it is a frustrating process. I just continue to urge lawmakers to keep meeting, keep talking, and I'm still optimistic that something will happen. I just need it to happen soon.
Where do you think the choke point or just blockages now? Is it just a lack of urgency, or is it just that one side's being just not working as hard as everyone else? Or?
No, I don't believe that at all. I think both sides want to reach a resolution on this. I think that I certainly believe that they see the urgency. If they didn't, they wouldn't be as engaged as they have been throughout this process. So no, I don't see this as a lack of trying on the part of the legislature. I think that they have some real complex issues themselves they're dealing with. They have, as they've stated, they have their own budget deficit that they're grappling with. They have some disagreements over how things should be funded and what should be funded. But I think that's part of government. But no, I don't think in any way they're uninterested at all.
I have a question for the chief regarding your plan. You sort of described some of the changes that you've made and how you're going to handle things. And you talked about having a lot more staff out there than we might see usually. But you're also going to have bigger crowds potentially waiting for a longer period of time, whether that's after a game or for school. What is the sort of crowd control plan in terms of are you going to be asking people to only have a certain number of people in a certain area? How are you going to handle the actual crowds that may be waiting longer?
Yeah, look, for us, I think is positioning us in a way where we can identify those things as they start to emerge, right? We have, we can make some predictions, and it would not shock me in the least if our plan looks completely different at the end of next week than the beginning, right? What we've done, what we tried to build into our plan was the ability to obtain this information from between us, the school police, our partners in PPD, get this information quickly. We've shared all of our information that we're looking at and our deployment with our partners so that they know where we're going to be. I don't think the Philadelphia Police Department is a tremendous partner for us. And they have a standard practice in Philadelphia where patrol activity where they ask their officers to check on SEPTA operators, SEPTA buses, SEPTA stations. And through the first half of the year, they performed almost 18,000 of those checks. They're averaging about 100 of those checks a day, right? And so we want to leverage that activity, right? And so we're sharing information as we get it with them so they can kind of direct where they're doing that, right? And I think using our, we're in a better position technology-wise that we have video from virtually every area of the city that we can make quick decisions. For us, the importance is about flexibility and getting information quickly. And we think our plan covers that.
You mentioned hotspots. Could you tell us what those hotspots are, where you normally see the crowd?
Yeah, so we have a good idea about how student bus travel operates from outside of the schools into the larger terminals, right? So we have multiple areas across SEPTA, Alany Transportation, Frankfurt Transportation, 69th Street, where the routes that bring the student flow into those locations, and then where we see the biggest amount of students kind of congregating on the system. That looks the same, typically, from year to year to year. What we don't know this year is how potentially fewer buses operating with longer headways is going to expand those crowds in neighborhoods across Philadelphia. That's kind of what we're trying to predict now and why we're sharing and coordinating so closely with our partners, because we expect that to look different. We expect to see larger crowds in neighborhoods, across the city. And every time you get a very large crowd of student travel, one spark could kick something off, turn into a bad, potentially unsafe condition. So we want to be able to identify those locations as quickly as possible.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Actually, I had one more follow-up, Scott, to what I was asking about regarding the negotiations, and you were talking about communicating with some of the Republican senators who have clarified some things. They've also raised concerns in saying that you're not responding to them anymore. Have you stopped responding to them?
No, not in the least. Certainly, I have not given them a formal response to their letter. They sent me a letter last Friday, and then sent me a follow-up yesterday morning. But even with the letter that was sent Friday, they were seeking to offer me clarity on the Senate amendment. So we want to give them the best possible and most comprehensive answer that we can give, and we want to give it to them in writing, since they initiated to us in writing. But that does not mean that by any means I wouldn't meet with them personally, face to face, if that were needed, if they felt that was something that would help. No, I've not purposefully stopped communication with anyone. I'm open to talk to anyone and everyone to help get this resolved. Okay. Thank you.
All right, you've been listening there to a news conference from SEPTA officials about the looming service cuts that are set to go into effect on Sunday. General Manager of SEPTA there, Scott Sauer, saying that he's going to continue to work with lawmakers in Harrisburg to try to get the funding they need. But NBC 10's Lauren Make, you heard her there asking a really good question. If a deal does happen before Sunday, they've got 48 hours, that still doesn't mean that service is going to stay as it is right now. As you know, they've been planning and preparing and talking about these SEPTA cuts for months now. So a lot of this is well in motion. Also, these cuts coming the day before the first day of school in Philadelphia. So much of that news conference was about how this is going to affect schools.
Especially safety with students who are going to be gathering at these stops. They said they're expecting more crowds because there are fewer routes for those students to choose from. Transit Police Chief Chuck Lawson did say that his officers would be stepping up patrols specifically in the afternoon commute for students. And they also said they'll be implementing a daily morning check-in call with school officials, school police officials, to see what happened the previous day so they can figure out if there are any hot spots where they need to be focusing their patrols on that day to try and make sure students are safe in these crowds.
Yeah, some important changes, a lot of planning going into this. The recommendation for everyone, whether you're a student or just a commuting to work or from work, leave early, plan ahead. Of course, we're going to stay on top of all of this. Count on NBC 10 to help you navigate the SEPTA cuts. Figure out a transportation plan for you and your family. This is going to affect tens of thousands of people in the city.
Absolutely. Scan the QR code on the left side of your screen right there to download our free NBC 10 app. We have information on alternate routes, fare hikes, and a whole lot more.
We're going to have much more on this coming up on NBC 10 News at 11 a.m. Coming up in about 8 minutes or so.
We'll be here. For now, we return you to your regularly scheduled programming.